100 discs, one winner. The biggest giveaway in disc golf history.
Hello disc golf friends and welcome back to MDG Media. We are bringing you final front 9 MPO lead card coverage of the 2025 Krokhol Open just south of Oslo, Norway. We have incredible conditions once again. We have been gifted by the Norwegian weather gods. A sunny day, some light gusts, and a beautiful late night commentary booth here. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Mr. Elias Luukkonen.
What's up, Connor? What's up, viewers, and good night already at the start of the video. If you're watching this as it's being published, huge respect to you. You are one of our true fans. And I'm also a true fan of this coverage. We are seeing Benjamin Callaway trying to chase his first win on the Elite Series stage. Pretty exciting stuff here.
Lauri Lehtinen has been playing some of the best disc golf of his life this year, and I'm excited to see him perform as well. Has all the skills, one of the smoothest compact forms in Europe.
And third guy, Ricky Wysocki, unlike the other two, wouldn't be his first Elite Series victory here. Obviously one of the more accomplished players in the world.
And a new face on MDG Media from last round, getting his second round MDG debut in the books, Jacob Blair, representing California. Very well rounded, makes very few mistakes. We start our final round here on hole 1, a 133 meter par 3, OB lining the left and right the entire way, and the basket perched atop this sloped hill. You have that significant right side hill that a lot of players will crash into with the right-handed backhand hyzer. The best shots will try to land just on top, crest over, land on the flat, but anything that comes in too quick to this sloped green can also quickly find left OB. A lot of danger, but also a very open shot.
Well, gentlemen, good luck in the final round. I'll be the course official on the card again today.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the final.
I mean, I can't give you back. That would be a little.
If you're going to be following this card, my name's Andrew. I'll be your guide through the course. Get there. Every credential type can follow up hole 2.
Full Open, presented by the Latitude 64. Lead card, 4:30 p.m. First tee from Quad Cities, Iowa, US. Team Discraft, give it up for Benjamin Callaway.
Ben being an older player than most of the field, he has that life experience, not as much experience playing for the win on the lead card as he's going for an aggressive shot, almost acing hole 1.
From Wysocki, Finland, and Team Latitude 64. Clap your hands for Lauri from Wysocki, Finland, and Team Latitude 64. Clap your hands for Lauri Lehtinen.
All right, Lauri, you're 3 strokes back, final round, Krokhol Open. How are you feeling?
Feeling excited. Not putting too much pressure on myself, just trying to play my own game and see what happens. I'm not like going crazy for the win, I'm just trying to play my own game today.
Sounds like a good plan. What would it mean to you to get your first Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite victory here in Europe?
Yeah, that would mean a lot, and I got my first 8 year in 2019 and it's been 6 years, so it would be awesome to kind of like upgrade it here.
What can we expect to see from you today?
Hopefully solid play and great front nine as yesterday.
Sounds good. Good luck and have fun.
Thank you.
Lauri, a player perpetually in contention at the top, particularly in Europe, people will be very familiar with his game, his name, ultimately hunting the fame of a Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite win. Falls to the common landing zone of a safe hyzer shot.
US World Champion 2016-17. Team Discraft. Make some noise for Ricky Wysocki.
Ricky, being the defending champion on this exact same event, has all the experience on this course you can need. So this drive a little bit early out of the hand. He's gonna be putting from circle 2, that is very makeable, and a good angle, no danger behind the basket.
Last pair on the lead card from Scotch Valley, California, US, and Team Top World Disc Golf, Jacob Blair.
Jacob showed us great consistency, a well-rounded skill set, and fantastic composure for a player with not as much experience on lead cards at this level of tournament, and does not make many significant mistakes.
The drive there from Jacob, very much like his style, playing it safe and low, not risking the OB, laying the putt up. He's happy with the par on this hole. It's playing slightly easier than the rounds past. Maybe because people are actually going for the basket. Ricky here going for a huge birdie putt, just leaves it low. And a terrible reaction off the basket. He has rolled all the way to the OB left. Now this is for bogey. Looking like a potential swing on hole number 1.
And Ricky, our reigning defending Krokhol Open champion, going to be starting with a double bogey. Ben, inversely, kicks us off with a 2. Trying to make a push to be this year's champion.
Good par from Jacob. And I heard that Ben was quite nervous in the morning before the round. He was really thinking about the fact that he hasn't been in this situation as much. As Ricky taps it in for double bogey. What a disastrous start. Not many double bogeys on the day as we're moving on to hole number 2. Good chance to fix that mistake from 1. 202 meters going uphill, turning slightly to the right of the tee. Want to see that distance driver with a little anhyzer angle out of the hand, mostly holding to the right and maybe fading just a little bit at the very end to get that full distance. Second shot plays really nice for a straight to fading forehand, hopefully hitting the hillside or just below the basket to avoid that roll away. Also plays good for a little backhand turnover. It's really all about just putting yourself to the fairway far enough off the tee and then controlling that angle and line.
As we go now to a chase card check-in with Jakub Semerad. The field very tight in this final round. A lot of names are in the mix. Mauri Vilman as well has already secured an Elite Series win at Konopiste earlier this year with a dominant performance and a name we know well here in Europe.
Yeah, Mauri with a couple of sort of off weeks. Didn't make the cut at the European Championships, which was a huge surprise to pretty much everybody following the event. I mean, he was one of the favorites to even win the European Championships. And dropping off before the final round. Not voluntarily, as we see both of them leave some meat on the bone for the putt.
One of the most Mauri Vilman putts you'll ever see. somehow so casual, just a clean flick of the wrist, and it's the whole way throughout the flight looking on point. Jakob matches him. The chase card making a push and making statements here.
Ben, definitely a player that throws sneaky far. His form is pretty compact, doesn't do that long reach back, but still just rips the disc, and this time rips it too far left. That's not gonna be a good position, almost certainly out of position for birdie. Opening the door for the rest of the card.
We see a nice adjustment to that line by Lauri here, but only the very slightest adjustment that still finds him within the tree line and will be forced to shape an awkward forehand. I like to hear in the player interview that he's not putting too much pressure on himself. Historically, that's been something he struggled with, has very high expectations of his own game. Jacob.
Yeah, OB on the right side, just put too much height, too much highs on the forehand. Forehand is a great play, I mean a great safe play usually if you just hit the line somewhat correct. And Ricky there, perfect angle. Only person that is cleanly on the fairway after that double bogey on hole number 1.
Jacob now, second throw, third stroke. He's looking to get as close as possible if he wants any chance to save the par, but he is so far out. He'll be before that tree and likely semi-obstructed. We go now to Ben.
Taking his medicine. That's gonna be a chance at par, not an easy one though, as he still has a lot of distance left. And Ricky pulling the sidearm, surprising error. I'd put him up there as one of the top 5 sidearm players in the world, maybe top 5 sidearm players of all time. This approach, you have some good room on that left side. I mean, you don't really have to push the tree line, as Lauri throws just a perfect. I believe he went with a mid-range there.
Lauri, one of the most capable mid-range throwers. Both backhand and forehand. Ben has cleaned up that short look for his par, keeping the sheet clean. If he can put in that short putt, almost a certainty. We go to Jacob to save his par and decides, given that early OB, he will simply take the bogey. Ricky, known to be very aggressive from compromised positions.
I think that qualifies as being extremely aggressive on the putt, gliding around the basket. I don't know if it's just that we're watching this at 2 a.m. or does the feeling of the group feel very tense right now? I feel like nobody really looks perfectly dialed, and the overall vibe seems like the players are slightly nervous.
I would agree, there's stiffness in the air. Players aren't quite as relaxed as we've seen them historically. For Ben, hunting his first Elite Series win. For Lauri, looking to prove to himself he is one of the best. For Jacob to make a name for himself. And for Ricky to defend his title. Each of them have something very personal on the line. They continue to hole 3. This par 3 sits at 95 meters, an extremely pure tunnel shot. If you go early off the fairway, both left and right, the gaps are very small and offer limited progress. You ideally want to play something on a soft flex or more likely a hyzer flip that lands flat on this green, sloping very dramatically off to the left side. You want to keep it above that short wall we see artificially built to the left, and it's a hole where hitting the initial gap cleanly goes a very long way. We have Lauri to start us off here.
I love the release there from Lauri. Low, confident, and a lot of speed. Though this time slightly too understable of a disc. I think, as we mentioned, the nerves on the last hole. This hole is a great nerve check. If you're not nervous, the gap becomes much bigger, but if you're feeling slightly tight, it's so difficult to hit the gap, even early of the TN. And Ben, talking about early, that's going to be early left in a position that is potentially even a really difficult par.
Ricky shaping something more overstable, has that flat release. As a result, finds a fade to the left below the wall, but will be putting uphill towards safety in comparison to a shot that ends to the right, putting down at the slope. He'll be a little bit more comfortable running that. And Jacob will be right up there with Ricky as well. Hits the gap cleanly, does enough to give himself a look. Ben, limited progress, as I mentioned. That early left side is absolutely brutal. Bogey scramble time now.
This approach is not given. He throws it perfectly down the middle. Beautiful shot to get that tap-in bogey. Not an ideal start. The course today is going to be playing easier than in the rounds past, as we have close to no wind on most of the open holes.
We see the dangers of hole 3 very present. Jacob, a birdie look and a birdie putt. Looking up the hill, that is a great find to balance out his scorecard now. Back to even for the round, and 15 under. He's going to be looking to push Lauri's current position, 17 under, only 2 strokes ahead of him.
Yeah, Lauri, no stranger to winning. He has already won this season. He won the Finnish Pro Tour event.
Hey guys, quick break. In addition to the first MPO feature card, we are also producing the second MPO feature card this week and next week in Krokhol. The full rounds will be available through our YouTube Premium subscription. If you want to support us and also enjoy some more content, go check it out.
You play disc golf long enough, you can relate to this experience. You adjust your stance, you change your putter, you make all these little tweaks to improve your form. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to go back to fundamentals. That's exactly what we did with the Octothorpe. More stable, more refined, more features for the modern disc golfer. This is the Octothorpe reimagined.
Moving on to hole number 4. 148 meters. Going far downhill, so playing much shorter, and you just really want to imagine the line that you're throwing here with a slight anhyzer angle out of the hand. That's going to be the most common play with a very overstable disc. Fairway driver, even distance driver, you can really throw any speed you want here, but that overstability is going to be the key. Avoid the right side OB, take a couple skips at the end, and if you absolutely have to miss on one side on this hole, that's going to be short or left.
Jacob's lone birdie on 3 will have him be the wind dummy for the card. He hits the gap purely. I'd like to see the forwards carry before the late fade. You cannot throw this shot better. Safe the whole way, perfect distance control, and great management of the stability both in the disc and angle.
And the wind dummy might be downgraded to just a dummy on this hole, as there is 0 wind affecting the discs. Lauri taking advantage, going with more of a pure flat to hyzer shot, very penetrating. And Ricky, there's the flex. This one needs to come back and fast. It is risking the right side OB, but just comes back. Gonna be a tricky putt though, very makeable for Ricky. I love his knee spin putt.
And we know Tricky Ricky is capable of making those. We see a similar looking flex from Ben, but it's a lot higher. And a very reasonable landing spot as well for Ben. The pure hyzer has less potential to go long of the pin, whereas the flex shapes maybe most naturally. Tricky Ricky strikes again. Somehow there's just this feeling that this guy from circle 2 is gonna make it. I don't know what it is, but something's in the air when his putter is in his hand from just outside the circle. Ben just inside the circle now. Also at a bounce back opportunity. Our lead card getting a little bit more comfortable now in this final round.
Love the release there from Ben. A lot of velocity on the disc. Depending on the player, that can either be a sign of being very comfortable or being slightly nervous. As we are having a star frame on hole number 4. Pretty impressive stuff.
Ben Callaway moving to 20 under. You can use code Krokhol20 for 20% off discs on the MDG Media shop. Hole 5 we see here, this par 4, 175 meters. OB lining the left side the entire way, winding in and out at different points. It then narrows towards this green. You have this island of trees in the center, offering players 2 entrances, either left or right, into this green with a slope directly behind. The most ideal approaches will land just short of the basket inside the circle. The only real danger is that left OB, so a lot of players will play forehand here.
Definitely a hole that is potentially reachable for eagle. Though I don't see anybody on the lead card choosing to go for that shot, as it's very risky. Just some food for thought though. If we had an extremely tilted far throwing player on the card, we might see some fireworks. That's not the case, as hole number 5, still early on in the round, everybody's still going for the win. As that's 2 good forehands on the fairway, and Ricky pulling it slightly to the left, needs to come back.
That one finds a fairly early OB. I think par is in play for Ricky given his distance, but will certainly not be easy coming into that fast green. Ben has pumped this one way up there. You mentioned tilted far throwing player Elias. I would say we don't consider him either of those things at that given moment, but you mentioned his sneaky distance. That was certainly smashed.
Yep, I think he's probably further from being tilted than from being a far throwing player. As Jacob here, a lot of angle on the forehand. Needs to sit down and does. Good control there, knowing that the slow disc will likely settle even with that severe hyzer angle. The same thing for Lauri. His forehand is looking really consistent this season. I love his release, just keeping the disc on the same angle throughout the pull through.
Ben throwing too far, in fact, and reminiscent of previous rounds for him. Does not get clean out. Another shot, a more open look, a steep anhyzer will leave him not particularly close considering those 2 shots were both from less than 30 meters away. Tricky Ricky saves the par. Still sitting 1 over for the round, but doing everything within his power to try and find some more birdies on the scorecard. Critical par save for Ben.
Yep, important stroke there, not only for the score, but also for the momentum. Anytime you're the leader in the tournament, it is so important that if you have the chance, you want to be keeping that lead and not giving away any free strokes. Even if you're not birdieing that many holes, just taking pars, not losing strokes by your own mistakes is going to be crucial, as by definition you have the advantage over the field. And if you guys like the videos, remember to give it a thumbs up. Really helps the algorithm. Hopefully push the MDG content to some more enthusiastic disc golfers as we're moving on to hole number 6. Another very scoreable hole. Just 100 meters. You can throw a putter mid-range turnover if you want to with the backhand, or if you're more of a forehand dominant player, you can go for that forehand hyzer, which you want to push pretty tight. You don't really want to challenge the backside trees, as that's the biggest mistake to do with a forehand. I'd say a nice tight forehand hyzer is the most consistent shot on the hole, and also doesn't risk that huge drop off behind the basket.
We go back quickly to our chase card. Mauri, very proficient forehand player. Jakob as well, but opting for the shaping backhand. Very interesting. We know that he is most comfortable on an anhyzer release, loves to flex an overstable disc. That one, not quite overstable, but on his preferred release angle.
There you go, Mauri with another just casual looking putt. It's, I mean, from a player's perspective, having played the same hole just hours before, not even so many hours before, those putts on this hole are incredibly scary. And seeing a player not even cracking a smile after making that putt, it just tells me that they're pretty serious about trying to go for the win at this tournament.
Jacob gets a very negative reaction from that tree, kicks him hard backwards and into the tree line. Completely stopped his progress on what was otherwise quite a decent shot in terms of execution, just not result. We go to Lauri, has this one higher, touch more hyzer. This should bring him in earlier into the tree line.
Yeah, more neutral there on the reaction. Gonna be dependent on his putt whether the reaction to the scorecard is gonna be negative or neutral or even positive. I mean, a lot of opportunity to screw up on this hole, as if you miss your putt from 7 meters, even if you airball it, you're gonna go down to C2 almost for sure.
Ben, similar to Jakob on the chase, shaping the anhyzer backhand. What's critical here is to not flex the disc, simply have it turn over the entire way, perhaps pan out to flat. That will certainly play. You see that there's a little bit of thrower's chance here up on the green. All of those shots very similar in their angle coming in, very different in the outcome. Jacob has put together 3 in a row, but that birdie streak will be ending here. A good pitch up for par.
Yeah, really no sense running this putt unless your name is potentially Ricky Wysocki, going from the knee from 15 meters out. I mean, he's one of the best putters of all time, but now he's rolling down again.
Even further.
Oh,
Ricky's
Ricky.
a full forehand throw, and that putt off the knee that missed will cost him 3 strokes. Happens so quickly here on the green of 6.
And
wow.
That one couldn't see from our angle, but I think that was a dead center spit out for Ben. Apparently he hit something in the ring of the chains, so the potentially bouncing off the ring / the pole. Anyway, nothing wrong with that putt, and a pretty brutal moment as Lauri taps it in for the birdie. They're gonna be tied after 6 because of that spit out. And gonna be a real mental test for Ben now. Can he still keep his round going after such a terrible break?
Hammes needs to get something going. And in Adam Hammes! Hole in 1! Incredible!
We proceed to hole 7, a 193-meter par 4, however, playing uphill the entire way. Plays significantly longer than that. The initial throw for the majority of the field will be a hyzer into the fairway, landing somewhere roughly here. You see sparsely littered rocks throughout the short grass fairway. If you can catch one of those, or if you do catch one of those, you'll get a much stronger reaction. A lot of players are trying to dig a hyzer and then shape their way into a very dangerous green with a steep slope left and long, but that friendly trench to the right of the green, playing as a backstop that offers some players a bit of reprieve here. Maori currently 4 down through the first 6 holes.
That's a pretty large forehand coming from this tee. I haven't really seen a lot of players going for that forehand, as this is a more common line if you are choosing the left side gap. Jakub and Mauri in very similar positions both. As you can see, their discs right next to each other. Let's see if they got some touch on the approach. Looks like Jakub does.
It's a good old-fashioned throw-off here. Jakub comes in cleanly, if anything a little bit long. Mauri, similar idea here, but he does not play the overstability in the same way Jakub does. For his forehand approach is very capable, shaping something even sometimes slightly understable. Vilman with a death putt now.
Wow. Death for some, but I don't think Mauri is really concerned about death at this very moment. As Jakub to go 4 under on the round, pure on the pole. His release is looking very good. Player whose putting performances have huge variance between them. His best days are better than anybody else's, but his worst days are not maybe the best in the field.
And our lead card, obviously playing the hole behind the chase card. If their checking scores are aware of the pressure they're putting here. Lauri playing that traditional hyzer into the fairway. That is really all you need here to be in position to birdie. Jacob opting for a similar line.
Pretty good position, just slightly blaring out to the left. It's gonna be okay though, being short enough that he's not into those left side bushes. And Ben here turning it over to the right. That's gonna be potentially a tricky position. Probably doesn't see the basket from there, having to go with a severe left to right moving shot. Just doesn't feel like Ben is fully in control right now, as he's getting some bad breaks, but also not playing quite perfect so far.
Jacob approaching first, being on the left side, is forced to shape the anhyzer here, but using the stability to ensure he does not find the danger long or left. Does find himself very early short right in that evergreen. Will give him little to no gap unless he got very lucky. Lauri playing the less commonly seen pure hyzer over that bush, and that's certainly a solid result. The flex playing more true in the fairway, but that pure hyzer completely removing the left side danger from possibility.
All right, let's see, Ben. This is okay, not the most aggressive shot. I thought he was potentially going for the basket, but now I think just a little 40-meter approach with the forehand, leaving it slightly short. That's sort of the miss you want to have if you're not quite parked. The short right side is the best place to be.
Jacob pitches up Lauri now. Tries to pitch in. Did all the work to get into the circle. Ben similarly, although for par rather than birdie.
That was to keep the lead. And Lauri probably thought his putt was to take the outright lead.
Ricky with the effortless looking birdie.
I don't know if you can hear this on the video, or actually if my point is correct, you really can't, but for some reason the air on the course was extremely heavy today. It was so silent. If the crowd wasn't moving, it really couldn't hear anything besides your own thoughts and breathing. As we're moving on to one of the more difficult holes, hole number 8, 241 meters, par 4, a tight tunnel shot off the tee. Not a straight one, but a slight left moving. Want to throw something low with the slightest bit of hyzer out of the hand. Hopefully hit the wood chips, stay there, and then on the second shot go for that very overstable flex shot. Move left at about 125 meters. And this hole, if you can get the birdie, you're definitely taking a stroke on usually most of the card.
Ricky is well positioned. Lauri playing more of a pure hyzer than what we see from most as a flip up. Crashes the right side and settles early. Will have an open swing.
Jacob there left, but should be okay. As Ben last on the box, looking to take back the lead on this hole. And look at this shot. Cures it down the middle. Needs to settle down now. And that's the problem on this hole. If you throw something slightly too overstable off the tee, it's so easy to miss the fairway to the left. I think he's gonna have a relatively easy shot for par, but the birdie most likely out of play.
Lauri gets clean through the tunnel, but enters the trees once again. Does not find himself in the fairway. An early left, one of the most difficult positions to be. Whether it's on the first or second shot, early left is just so punishing. As a result, we see a lot of shots like this ensuring a rightwards finish. Unfortunate with those leaves to clear the OB pond. Ricky trying to shape a long flex. He too will fall prey to the early left side.
Trying to make a long flex, ends up making a short flex. And Ben actually does have an angle to go to the green. This is also looking a bit short, and yeah, that's so common. Even from the perfect drive, you do need to push it surprisingly far to get all the way to the gap. He's not going to be happy with that, but on the most difficult hole of the course, averaging half a stroke above par. Par is really a good score. Of course, the dynamic for these guys is a little bit different as they're mostly playing against each other and potentially the chase card, potentially even third card as the field is very tight. So not really worried about what the field is doing, but rather what the absolute best players are doing. But even those absolute best players are not really getting up and down for birdie, as we see on our card. Lauri gonna be up there for a par.
Ricky most likely as well. Ben picks a gap on the right, simply gets progress and advances his way to the green. Lauri, the only player currently bogey-free in this final round action.
Yeah, not gonna be the case for long. As Jacob, very solid par putt. I feel like once again we're seeing the same thing from Jacob as in round 2, that he's not doing anything that flashy. His game doesn't look bad, it doesn't look amazing, but he's just scoring a solid score on the front. 2 under, I mean, it's not the hottest of starts, but he's definitely keeping pace with the position that he started with.
As our leaders fall back to 19 under, we proceed to hole 9, an 85-meter uphill par 3. You have this initial gap to hit between these trees. As you get up to this slightly elevated basket, you have a friendly bowl to the left of those boulders and sloped hill that often filter your disc back to the right. As a result, a lot of players will try to hit the gap and end left, if not perfectly straight.
Such a good line.
Mauri Filman, rather. Beautiful execution on that shot. Fantastic speed and control to hit the basket, hit the green before the basket, and Jakob does the very same.
Love the stability of Jakob's disc. He went with a more overstable disc, put it on some highs towards the right side, and really no chance of being anywhere else than just inside the circle. And some European bias here, but I think it's pretty cool to have a couple of big American players on the card, but the Europeans stealing the show. That's just what we like to see. Both Europeans and Americans in the mix. That's going to be the future of disc golf.
And it's also the present Elias. Ricky piercing straight line directly to the pin. Super accurate line. Jakob looking to match that now. Has a touch more height, as a result receives some fade, but settles nicely into this friendly backstop to the left.
Once again, really nice stability. Ben missing the gap. That is a huge mistake on this hole. 50% of the field getting birdie here. If you ever see a birdie percentage that high, it means that almost everybody near the top is getting one. As Lauri is definitely going to be one of those. Inside the bullseye, touching the bottom of the basket. Now this is an important shot, needs to get it close, avoid all of the extra stress. I mean, if Ben was already nervous before the round, with how things are going, I bet his nerves are not particularly calming down, as he's going to be losing a stroke to everybody on the card.
Ben Callaway looking to find a way to hold his lead position, but slips away now. And as we take a look at the standings, your current leader, Lauri Lehtinen at 20 under, Jakob and Ben tied at 19, Jacob Blair at 18, and the field storming behind them. There are only 9 holes left until we find out who will be your 2025 Krokhol Open MPO champion. Elias, what do we expect?
Man, there are so many players in the mix. You really cannot make any predictions. If I was a betting man, which I am not, I wouldn't bet on this tournament. Honestly, it's so difficult to know. So many players in the mix. And this is what we're gonna see on the back nine. A lot of exciting stuff. Hope to see you there.